So we just got done at Tafita, and I always have such a great time. It's always nice to see Beth. However, I think I have to drive all the way back tomorrow because I haven't seen Dr. Olivier in person in like a month or something. And so a lot of times, because I don't really have a lot of issues, usually my appointments are kind of like in and out, then a lot of times I do my conversations with him over the phone, which is so much nicer. But I was glad that she went ahead and switched me to a earlier time, because I'm like, I don't go outside at noon. Like right now is pushing it for me, and I just don't like to be outside when it's so hot. And tomorrow's supposed to be 94, so ugh. So one of the things we talked about was traveling. Apparently Medicaid, or whatever the insurance is that most everybody's on because of dialysis, doesn't insure you if you go to other countries. I guess there's a certain way that they have to figure out how to bill you when you are doing your actual exchange there in whatever country you decide to go to. Which is kind of interesting, because I don't think about insurances that way, like whether they're able to cover if you fall down and break yourself. Like, what happens, being an American in a foreign country? How does that billing take place? I don't know. And then to be on dialysis, it's just a different thing. I guess I've never really thought about. I did ask her about if I go on a cruise, because Donnie and I actually talked about maybe doing something like that. I definitely want to try to go to Vancouver in or around Thanksgiving, maybe Christmas, but I think Thanksgiving. So we would have to fly. And so my mind's just kind of racing with like, oh my gosh, I'd have to fly with my dextrose, which is fine. And it'll be nice. It'd be an experience. I mean, I've never flown with it. If I know for sure that I am going, then I guess I could contact Baxter and have them deliver the 2 boxes up there, and then I wouldn't have to fly with it. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting thing. Like, do I fly with it? Do I don't? The cruise ships, she said, as long as I'm porting in the United States, then everything's good to go. And I'm just kind of like, how interesting that my dialysis, because something like that would have to be scheduled with Baxter so that they would be able to give my dialysis solution to the cruise ship. I'm assuming. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. But I was like, could I just take mine? Like, I don't know. I guess too, in a sense, you would have to, I don't know. I'm sorry. This sounds like all like random, but it's just because I'm just thinking about these things. Like, so to do a cruise, and the cruise that I would want to go to is not to a hot place like Jamaica. I would want to go to a cruise like Alaska, where I could see like a seal and a baby seal and a penguin, whales, things like that make me excited. And so I'm assuming I would need to get to the port. I don't know if that's like flying is cheaper or driving. So I'm thinking, okay, so if I drove to California, which is about 8 hours away, I would have to take the dialysis to survive that little venture to at least the cruise ship. And then from the cruise ship, I would have had to contact Baxter to make sure that they're prepared to have the cruise ship have my dialysis. And then from that point, I guess, I don't know, like, it's just interesting. Like, okay, so I'm on the cruise, so you go up to, say, Alaska, and come back down. I'm assuming you must park your vehicle someplace safe. They must have parking garages at the port place so that you're able to leave your vehicle. And then I would need to have dialysis sitting in there, I'm assuming, because I would need to be able to survive on the journey back home. So, and then throw in flying. If I don't drive and I fly, I would need at least one box to get me over there. But then it's like, what do I do with the extra bags? Or I wonder if I can pack bags. I don't know what the rules are. I should find that out. Like, can I take a bag of dextrose in my suitcase? Or do I have to take a contained and unopened box of dextrose with me to fly? Because if I fly over there and I only do like maybe one, maybe two exchanges, I still have 4 more bags that I can't. What do I do with those? Oh, interesting. All of this. This is what I'm thinking about, guys, because it's like super hot here in Tucson, and I'm like, I could deal with some really chilly weather right now. But the other cool thing she gave me was a list of stuff, which is super great because they're like top priority things that you need to take with you whenever you travel. And it could be like a short trip to like Bisbee or a long trip to like camping or something. And I will say the last pop-up shop I was at, which was last Saturday, I forgot my clamps. So I had to pinch the hose, or the tube, I should say, the tube, from when it was draining into me, and I had to pinch the bag tube that was going down to the ground so that I didn't have any escape me and go into that. Otherwise, then I would not get full. But another thing I realized in that situation is when I connected, and I didn't break any flangeables, when I connected, when you pull your bag out of the plastic, sometimes the empty bag sticks. You have to peel it off of your full bag. And so what's cool about that is because I did forget my red clamps, I just kept them stuck together so that gravity itself would help me, and I didn't have to lose anything going into that empty drain bag because it's not going to want to go back up. I mean, it would if that's where it has to go, but because I pinched it off, then it didn't do that. So that was my experience with not even having clamps. Sometimes that just happens. My big fear, and when you can't do an exchange at all, is when you don't have your caps. Like, your caps are the most important thing because that's like total blockage for infection. So if you don't have that, you're in trouble. And don't do your exchange. Like, you're just screwed, basically. Another thing I realized is I had taken out of Donnie's truck my emergency little bags that I usually have, and I travel with them, and I put them in people's cars. Like when I was visiting my parents, I had one in their car. I had one in both my cars. I had one in Donnie's truck because if I forget, or something, God forbid, something happened on the way to a jam and I have no medical equipment with me, I can still have that red clamp in there to be able to pinch it off in case something god awful happens. Sometimes people will take their emergency bags with them all the time, everywhere. And that's a good idea, actually, because you never know. Like, what happens if my apartment burns down? God forbid. And all your supplies are gone. I mean, I would just go to DaVita and get it sorted, let them know, what's going on and all of that, and then figure out from that point with Baxter how to get replenished, because where are you living at? I mean, there's so many things that happen in emergency situations, but I'm thinking, like, if I was in a car accident or something where my connection was somehow popped off or something happened and I had to clamp, I don't have the clamp in the car, is my point, to be able to clamp so that I'm extra safe in case something, God forbid, happened to my cap. But yeah, so I should really do that. I think I'll do that later on today, is go ahead and get all those things together and actually create some of those emergency little packs, because, you know, to have a gauze, I can't take a bottle of Alcavis with me, especially in Tucson, and just leave it in cars. Like, I can't leave one in Donnie's truck because it gets so hot that I've had soda like pop open. That was terrible. I felt really bad for my son. It was for an event, and we had gone to Costco or something and gotten those long things of soda, and we put them in his trunk, and he was parked in the shade, and when he went out to the truck, he was like, some of those bottles popped, and it was so horrible, and he had to get it professionally cleaned. I felt really bad. But needless to say, you can't do that with Alcavis. You can't, because that's bleach water. You know, you don't want that happening. But you can have gauze, you can have the red clamps, you can have caps in there, probably a mask and a lap pad, just to have those vital things, like just in case you forget your clamp, then you'll be okay. But in the moment of all that, sometimes you just forget things. So the biggest thing, again, is the cap. You can't forget the cap, because if you do, you just can't do an exchange. There's no risking it, and you don't want to take yours off and then put it back on, because there's just too much air that hits that inside part that would be detrimental, I believe. You know, you don't want to do that. So anyways, I'm gonna head home, go see what other kind of shenanigans I can get into, and I'm really hungry, so I think I'll do that too. Plus, I'm gonna be back here tomorrow, so I guess I should get home so I can come back. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye bye.